It is 11:40 at night. You are looking at a man's profile. No face, no selfies. One washed-out mountain shot from 2 summers ago. A quote, a shadow on a wall. And you think what most people think. He is hiding. He is awkward. He cannot handle being seen. That is the lie. The man who will not put his face on a screen is usually not afraid. He is holding on to something most men gave away so long ago, they forgot it was theirs to begin with. We have watched this pattern in real men. The quiet ones online tend to be the solid ones in real life. Dependable, capable. They do not need a crowd to feel real. And the men who post nonstop are not always open. A lot of them are leaking their real life out to strangers and calling it sharing. So the question is not whether a man is visible online. The question is whether he kept something private or traded it for the small hit of being watched. That trade shows up on a profile. It also shows up in his chest when a room goes quiet, in the second before he reaches for his phone, in how much of himself he has to give away just to feel noticed. Stay with that man at 11:40 at night. If he keeps mixing up being seen with being alive, he will keep handing pieces of himself to the screen until almost nothing is left. If he sees the trade clearly, the same thumb that used to hover over the post can go still. The room can stay quiet, and he can stay a whole man, even when nobody is looking. Picture Daniel, 34, electrician, standing in the garage behind his small house with the side door cracked against the cold. The bulb over the bench throws a hard yellow circle across a box of screws, a chipped coffee mug, and a leather notebook with a pencil tucked in the spine. His phone lies face up beside a socket wrench. It washes his knuckles blue every few seconds. He wipes sawdust on his jeans, glances down and lets the screen go dark again. The shelf bracket is half mounted, drill on the bench, left hand on the pine board, right hand drifting toward the phone, then stopping in midair. In 10 minutes he has had the same thought 3 times. Maybe I should fix the profile. Maybe I should put a real picture up. Maybe people think something is wrong with me. Then the thought under that thought shows up. Who gets something from that? That is the turn. Not confidence, not style. Just asking who is actually being served. Most men do not lose themselves in a big, dramatic moment. They lose themselves in 1,000 small hand movements nobody would ever count. Watch the loop. A thought shows up. The hand moves. The thought gets sent out. A number comes back. Do that enough times, and the thought no longer finishes inside the man who had it. It only feels done when somebody else reacts to it. Daniel is standing at the edge of that loop with a drill in one hand and a screen in the other. And what happens next is not really about a dating profile. It is about whether his real life answers to him or to the people watching. He picks up the phone and opens the app. Men his age are smiling in gyms, in trucks, in bathroom mirrors, at weddings, on boats borrowed for the afternoon. The captions all sound easy. His jaw tightens. He feels himself shrink a little, and that feeling tells the truth faster than the screen ever will. He sets the phone face down, picks up the notebook, writes one line, then closes it. Nobody saw that. Good. Tomorrow that line will still be inside him while he is pulling wire through a wall. It will mean something. If he had posted it, he would have gotten the quick hit and lost the real thing. Most men do not catch the trade while it is happening. They call it sharing. What they are really doing is spending a thought before it has had time to change them. He drives the screw home. The drill gives one sharp whine. Dust lifts in the yellow light. The bracket holds. He steps back, not proud exactly, just quieter than he was. Then the phone lights up again. His hand snaps toward it. Too fast. He catches the speed and leaves the phone where it is. That flinch is the real measurement. Not whether he posts, how fast his body offers itself up. A need that's strong gets written in motions that small. And the ugly part is, it starts taking a man's self-respect before anyone else can see the problem. Daniel leans against the freezer. He remembers his niece's birthday last fall. Cheap paper lanterns turning the dining room orange. Chocolate icing on a plastic knife. Her face shining over the candles. He lifted the phone to get himself and her in the same frame. Then he stopped with his thumb already on the screen. He could feel the moment split in two. In one version, he was there. In the other, he was building proof that he had been there. He put the phone back in his pocket. A second later, she laughed with frosting on her lip. And because his hands were empty, he actually saw it. That is how being there starts leaking out of a man. Privacy goes later. Once you see it in one memory, you start catching it everywhere. Your son says something true from the back seat. Your wife laughs in the kitchen with her head turned away. A friend finally tells you what the hard week really cost him. If your first move is to reach for the phone instead of stay in the room, the loss already started. Daniel is standing in a cold garage, but the fight in that garage reaches into every room he loves. Drop a 1 in the comments if you know that loop. Post, check, quick lift, then the flat feeling an hour later. Just a 1. I know that loop because I lived in it. I would have a real thought after a hard conversation, or a line would come to me halfway through a walk, and within minutes I had pushed it out for a reaction. I told myself I was sharing. I was handing strangers the job of telling me whether my own mind had any weight to it. The cost was not just time, it was control. A man who needs people to react to him can be pulled by anyone willing to react. And if that sounds harsh, stay with Daniel 1 more minute, because the next move makes it plain. Back in the garage, his thumb rests on the edge of the phone. He hears himself form the easy defense. I just like sharing. Maybe, but he knows a better test. After I show this, do I feel looser or more on edge? That answer separates two men who can look the same on a profile and live in completely different rooms inside their own chest. The first man can put his face on a screen without giving anything up. When he posts, nothing important leaves with the picture. The second man is hungry. Even his quiet can be a show. He stays sparse online not because he owns what is inside him, but because he is scared to find out how much he depends on the screen. That means an empty profile proves nothing by itself. The real question is what builds the center of a man when no one is clapping and the silence does not rush in to save him. Daniel opens the edit screen. Add photo, skip, add photo, skip. Standing alone in a cold garage, he feels embarrassed by the whole thing. Some shame does not come from getting caught in public. It comes from catching yourself bowing to something this small. He locks the phone and slides it under a folded receipt, like he is putting a blade out of reach. Then he laughs once through his nose. Small, honest. A grown man should not have to hide his own phone from his own reflexes. Sometimes that is exactly how rebuilding starts. The first clean step is seeing the trade without looking away. The second step is worse, because it forces the question underneath all of it. If I stop offering pieces of myself for people to look at, do I start to disappear? He shuts off the drill. The garage gets still enough to hear a car pass at the end of the street. The fridge hum inside the house comes and goes. Both his palms are flat on the bench. He does not want music. He does not want a conversation. He wants something to fill the quiet, something to save him from the plain fact that he is alone and still has to be himself. A lot of posting is not sharing at all. It is numbing, and if a man can stay in that quiet without grabbing for someone to witness him through it, he builds something inside him that does not fold the second the room gives him nothing back. But quiet can become its own kind of hiding. So this is where it gets stricter. A man can stay off the screen and still hide from every real person who would actually know him. Right on cue, the inside door opens. His son calls from the kitchen. Daniel looks once at the phone under the receipt. Then he turns his whole body toward the voice before he answers. He wipes his hands on the rag, sets the drill down carefully, walks inside. That is where the quiet has to pay off. If staying off the screen gives a man more for the people in front of him, it is strength. If it just helps him stay hidden, it is another costume. He knows that one too. The empty profile has covered for him before. It has let him seem harder to read than he was. It has let him put off hard talks with women, with friends, with men who might have sharpened him if he had shown up plainly. So, the line has to be clean. Staying off the screen is only strong when the people in your real life still get all of you. 20 minutes later, he comes back into the garage with a bowl of cereal. The spoon knocks softly against the rim. He eats standing up, looks at the shelf he finally mounted. The phone is still under the receipt. He leaves it there. No speech, no ritual. Then he does one thing the internet would find boring, and a real life can be rebuilt on. He opens his contacts instead of the app and sends a message to a friend he has been ignoring for 2 weeks. You free Thursday. That is what self-control looks like when it leaves theory and walks into a room. Next time a real thought hits you, or a real feeling, do not do anything with it for 24 hours. Do not post it. Do not text it out to see what face comes back. Carry it through work. Carry it through the drive home. Let it sit beside you while you wash a dish or lock the back door. Most men have never let a thought live inside them long enough to find out what it was becoming. And if you try it, the first thing you feel is not relief, it is weight. The thought gets heavier, then it starts giving something back. Picture Daniel a week later, same garage. The bracket is still holding. The mug is in the same ring on the bench. The notebook is a little softer at the corners. The phone is still there too, because this is not a purity game. It just is not in the middle of the room anymore. The tool is back on its hook. The rag is folded. The screen is face down. A thing that used to sit there like an altar now looks like any other object, something he can pick up or ignore. That change is quiet when it shows up, more like the feeling in a house after a motor finally stops, and you realize the noise had been there for months. A man who does not need to be checked on by strangers is easier to trust up close. When he speaks, there is more of him behind the words, because less of him has already been scattered. And when he does choose to be seen, the picture is not a bid for anything. It is just true. Subscribe to Someone to Be. Like the video. Send it to one man who needs it. And write Private Center in the comments if you are taking this seriously. Then leave one room in your life unchanged tonight. No music, no scrolling, no proof you were there. Just the lamp, the counter, the chair, your hands, your breathing. Stand there long enough for the urge to pass. And long enough to notice. Nothing was being taken from you by the quiet. Something was being given back.